Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. My dear friends and students, welcome to your 7th lecture, Phonetics and Phonology. And today, after we have talked about the transcription last class, today we're going to move to another topic related to phonetics and phonology. We're going to talk about syllable structure in English. Syllable structure in English. This is our main topic. For today, we're going to discuss first, what does syllabification of a word mean? Okay, before we start, I just need to notify you. Some of the comments I have seen that why not to make this course short? Why not to shorten this course? First of all, in our classes, we need to explain things in details, and then at home, you can shorten the materials, okay? Because I need to explain in detail some of the unfamiliar terms and phonetics phenomenon in English, okay? So, after we have done with the transcription, next time we will have kind of a review for the syllable, for the transcriptions, long vowel, triphthong, diphthong, and the consonants. We'll be having a review in the next class, okay? Or maybe the class after that. So, let us talk now about what does syllabification of a word mean. Words in English can be cut up into units, small units. These units are called syllables. مقاطع صوتية. Okay? Why these syllables are important? Because it helps you to pronounce the words, the difficult words, correctly. Some of the words are really long, so you sometimes ask yourself, how can I pronounce this word correctly? So you need to divide the word into syllables. Okay? Into syllables. مقاطع صوتية. Today we're going to talk in depth, in details, actually in depth about the syllables. How can we syllabalize the words and pronounce them correctly? Humans seem to need syllables as a way of segmenting the stream of a speech and giving it a rhythm for strong and weak beats, as we hear in music. So the human being, we actually try always to divide the words into syllables. Segmenting means divide them and divide the stream of a speech and give it a sound, give it a rhythm. Okay? Syllables exist only to make speech easier for the brain to process. As you know, the way human beings produce sounds is actually, is at the beginning, is a process or an order which was given by the brain. So the brain gives us orders to speak, to pronounce a word, right? Because the brain here is the whole process of a speech with the help of the vocal tract. So what I want you to understand is syllables. In English, we can divide words into syllables, right, to pronounce it correctly, and the syllable actually make it, the syllable system or syllabification help us to, it's easier for the brain process to make a speech, okay? So this syllabifications makes our language easier, makes our speech easier for the brain to process. So, in English, a word contains at least one syllable. Any word in English should at least contain one syllable. مقطع صوتي واحد. At least, على الأقل. Most speakers of English have no trouble dividing up a word into component syllables. Sometimes, how a particular word is divided might vary from one individual to another. For example, the word, for example, transcription, transcription, okay? Or maybe the word next. Some of you may pronounce next, which consists two syllables, next, into next, for example. See how many syllables we have right here, right? Some of the Americans may say, some of you actually may say, like the word globalization. Some others say globalization. So there is a difference, right, in the syllables of each speaker. Okay, so each person sometimes has a different or a particular word or pronounce a particular word different from others. Okay, here are some words divided into their component syllables. A period is used actually here to make the end of a syllable, like the word tomato, to. How many syllables we have? 3. This is what I mean by syllable. Okay, so you divide the words according to their pronunciation. Okay, not according to their spelling. So, tomato. Okay, window, window. Okay, so this is what we mean actually in practice by syllables. Syllables, let us talk now about syllables after we understand the idea or the concept of syllabification. What does it mean? So we said that a word can be cut up into small units called syllables. هذا معنى syllables. لكن now let us talk about syllables and their parts. The parts are onset and rhyme. Within the rhyme we find the nucleus and coda. الآن حنوضح, we will explain the meanings of onset, rhyme, nucleus and coda, okay, through using some of examples. Some of the examples, we will explain that in examples. So just pay attention now. The parts of syllables, the part of syllable is onset, rhyme. The rhyme consists of nucleus and coda. First of all, not all syllables have all parts. Not all of them maybe have coda. Not all syllables have coda. Not all words have coda. The smallest possible syllable contains a nucleus only. So, the smallest possible syllable should contain what? A nucleus. We will explain it now. I want you to wait until we get the rules, okay? But however, not all syllables have all parts. Not all syllables have codas, for example. But they should have a nucleus. Okay, nucleus. A syllable may or may not have an onset and a coda. So we have now these a few rules that I want you to get a stick with before we explain the meanings. So all syllables should at least contain a nucleus. The smallest one should have a nucleus, but a syllable may or may not have an onset and a coda. First of all, what onset mean? Onset is the beginning sounds of the syllable. شو هي? The beginning sounds of the syllable. The ones preceding the nucleus. إذن هي تقع في بداية the beginning sounds of the syllable. The one preceding تسبق the nucleus. They're always consonant in English. These onsets are always consonant in English. The nucleus is a vowel in most cases. So, the onsets are always consonant in English. However, the nachalus right here is a vowel in most cases, although the consonants like R and L and M and N and the velar nasal ing, هذا هو الصوت, can also be the nachalus of the syllable. لاحظوا الآن. Now we are trying to get into more rules, right? We're getting into more rules. First of all, the onsets is the beginning sounds of the syllable, right? The ones preceding the nachalus. All onsets are always consonant in English. However, the nachalus is almost always, not only always, but almost always a vowel. However, في عندنا consonants might be nachalus مثل R, L, M, N and ing. هذول ممكن يكونوا nachalus. طيب. In the following words, the onset is in bold, the rest underlined. لاحظوا الآن. Where is the onset? هذا هو question. Where is the onset? في كلمة هنا onset is R. Eid, the rest, the underlined one, هذا بنسميه nachalus. Okay? Sorry, we said the rest. Okay? This is the rest. Where's the onset right here? FL. Where is the onset in the third word? STR. لاحظوا R, FL, STR, they are all consonants. So the rule right here says that the onsets in English are always consonant. Okay, and here the example shows us the validity of this rule. Okay? If a word contains more than one syllable, each syllable will usually have the usual syllable parts. For example, we have when, do. How many syllables? 2 syllables. When, do. هذا بنسميه onset. Sorry, لازم نكتب هنا. Onset. هذا المقطع الأول. المقطع الثاني we have another onset. So اللي فهمناه الآن في المثال السابق we have some words they have only one syllable. Read, flop, okay, strap. Okay. Here we have a word consists of 2 syllables. When, do. When, do. How many syllables? 2. How many onsets? 2. So how many syllables? 2. How many onsets? 2. Okay, tomato. How many syllables? 3. It starts with the 3 onsets, 3 consonants. Preposterous. Preposterous. لاحظوا. 1, 2, preposterous. How many? 4. لاحظوا هذه الكلمة consists of 4 syllables and it has 4 onsets. Pre, P, T, and R. Okay, fundamental. Fundamental. How many syllables? 4. How many onsets? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now look at these circled letters, circle sounds. They are all consonants. That's to say, all onsets in English are always consonant. So, I hope that it is clear. Now we have explained 2 things. What does syllable mean? the smallest word in English should have at least one syllable. We have also explained, in short, the three main parts of a syllable. Okay? And then we explained in details what onset means. This is the first part. أول جزء اللي هي الأنست. حكينا على إنه هو all consonant. أما بالنسبة للجزء الثاني rhyme. And the rhyme is rhyme or rhyme, you can just write it in a way you like, is the rest of the syllable. Rhyme is the rest of the syllable. Now, after the onset, the beginning sounds of the syllable, the rhyme it comes the rhyme. So it comes after the onset. Okay? So if we go back to the examples before, and I ask you, identify the onset and the rhyme. مثلا في الأولى لاحظوا في هذه الكلمة مثلا window, how many, it has two syllables. How many onsets? We said W and D. Where is the rhyme? The rhyme is the rest. The underlined sounds are the rhyme. It comes after the onset. How many rhymes we have here in tomato? We have, first of all, 3 syllables and 3 onsets and 3 rhymes. Where's the rhyme? It comes after the onsets. Preposterous. Preposterous. How many syllables? We have 4 syllables. 4 syllables. Okay. And how many onsets do we have? We have 3 onsets. And how many rhymes we have? Actually, we have 4 onsets, sorry. And how many rhymes we have? We have 4 rhymes. The last word, fundamental. How many syllables? We have 4 syllables. How many onsets? We got 4 onsets. And how many rhymes? We have 4 rhymes. So is that clear? Now we start and understand a little bit what do we mean by syllable, and also what are the parts of the syllable, which is onset and rhyme, and we start understanding what does onset mean and what does rhyme basically mean. So hopefully you get the main ideas now. So let us start step by step. It's a very important class, by the way. Every class we will discover something new about English pronunciation. Can you notice that every class we have something new? So now at your office, at your home, you should start and understand the syllabification of words in English, how to syllabify the words, how to divide them into syllables. So from now on, it's going to be easy for you, if you practice, to pronounce each word in English. Whether it was short or long, you can pronounce it correctly. So you just for fun, just try it for fun now, and start divide words into syllables to pronounce them correctly. So we started with the rhyme, and we said that rhyme is the rest of the syllable. It comes after the onset. Okay, the rhyme can also be divided into Nicholas and Coda. Nicholas and Coda. What does Nicholas mean? Nicholas is the core or essential part of a syllable. هو الجزء الأساسي في كل مقطع صوتي. هذا هو النيكولاس. And it must be present in order for a syllable to be present. It must be present in order for a syllable to be present. In English and most other languages, most syllables nickly are vowels. مرة ثانية. In English and most other languages, most syllables nickly are vowels. شو معنى النيكلي؟ هذه جمع للنيكولاس، وهو جمع من irregular plural، جمع شاذ. So that was a very good generalization. In English, most syllables, not all، ما حكى all، لاحظوا حكى most. Most nickly are vowels. Okay, so the board says that nickly are almost always vowels. Almost always, or always almost, whatever you want, but it is mostly vowels. Okay, the English liquid R, L, and the nasals M and N can be the nickly of syllables under certain conditions. إذن ممكن بعض الكونسونانتس مثل liquids R, L, M and N and also ing، هذولا ممكن أيضا يكون nickly for some syllables under certain conditions. R can be a Nicholas as easily as a vowel in any position. For example, the word bird have R as a Nicholas. لاحظوا هذه الكلمة bird. So R is the Nicholas. In other words, there is no vowel in the pronunciation of these syllables, even though they have one in the spelling. There is no pronunciation, there is no vowel in the pronunciation of these syllables, even though they have one in the spelling. لاحظوا موجود الآي لكن في اللفظ مش موجود. الموجود liquid air. Bird. Okay, so sometimes R, L, M, N and ing can be a nickly for some syllables under certain conditions, but almost nicklies are vowels. Okay, so we have a generalization and we have an exception, استثناء. So as you can see here, bird. And the nasals M and become syllable nickly when they follow an alveolar consonant in the last syllable of a word. So in M and N, the nasal syllables, they can be also nicholas when they follow an alveolar consonant in the last syllable of a word. This happens in the relaxed or casual rather than very formal articulation of the word. For example, compare visual versus formal pronunciation of button and bottle and bottom. Okay? Bottom and bottle and button. So here we have some examples regarding how the consonants, some of them, under certain conditions, become the nuclei of the syllables. Okay? The core syllable. The core syllable is made of a nucleus preceded by an onset. Okay? So we first have an onset and then we have a nucleus. The onset should be consonant and nucleus might be almost, in most cases, is vowel. Okay? Some language only have CV syllables. Do you know what is CV syllables? CV syllables mean consonants and vowels. More commonly, languages allow for syllables for greater complexity. Some languages, like our language, like Arabic language, can allow for syllables for a greater complexity. The core syllable is, however, found in every language. The fact that CV syllables, CV is a kind of abbreviation for consonant and vowels, are cross-linguistically attested offers an interesting parallel with their invariable occurrence in early child language. So these informations are just for your benefit, okay? Linguists often use tree diagrams, as you can see here. This is what we call a tree diagram. So this is called a tree. It looks like a tree, right? So the linguists use tree diagrams to illustrate syllable structure. So if I ask you, for example, to syllabify a word, okay, or to explain the detail, the parts of the syllable of a word, you need to use a tree diagram to illustrate it. Fla, for example, would look like this. We would like this. The word appears in IPA symbols, not English spelling, okay? The IPA. So the S is abbreviation, by the way, for the word syllable. O is abbreviation, هي اختصار لأنصت. R is abbreviation for rhyme, N is abbreviation for nucleus, and C is abbreviation for coda. The syllable nod, الناد اللي هي العقدة اللي هنا. At the top of the three branches تتفرع into onset and rhyme. The onset nod branches because it consists of two consonants. كلمة flop, how many consonants it has at the beginning? It has F and L. فلذلك لازم تتفرع لفرعين. تصير فيها F and L. The rhyme اللي هو هذا الرhyme nod branches because this syllable has both nucleus and coda. شو هو النيكولاس؟ اللي حكينا انه بالعادي بيكون vowel. اوكي؟ والكودا بالعادي بيكون consonant. مرة أخرى لو مثلا بدنا نعمل the word slap or slam. Okay? Slam. To slam thing. Slam the door or something. And I want to use the tree diagram to illustrate the syllable structure of the word slam. أول شيء ببلش بهذه العقدة. هذا بنسميها syllable node. عقدة الsyllables. اختصار أو S ممكن تحكي. Okay, so the syllable node should branches into two. لازم يتفرع لفرعين. أول شيء الأنست والرايم، لأنه كلمة إسلام فيها أنست وفيها الرايم. الرايم حكينا is the rest, it comes after the onset. الأنست لازم تتفرع أيضا لجزئين. Why? Because the word Islam consists of two consonants, S, L. الرايم برضو لازم يتفرع لجزئين. الجزء اللي هو الجزئين تاعونها النيكولاس اللي هو الكور النيكولاس والكودا. طيب وين النيكولاس؟ حكينا بانه النيكولاس usually, not always but usually, is a vowel واللي هو A. بينما الكودا وين هي؟ اللي هو الأم. So can you notice now how I use the tree diagram to illustrate the structure of a word? Can you see now? Do you understand what I'm talking about? Do you understand how to use the tree diagrams to illustrate the syllable structure? I hope so. Okay, let's move. Now we have here the same steps that we have done, just done. The first step was, first of all, you need to determine the nicholas, which mostly a vowel. Then add rhyme R on the ordinate of the nicholas, and then determine the onset and the coda. So you need first to define the onset. The onset should be a vowel, and then you can define the rhyme, and after that you need to find first the nicholas, then the rhyme, then the onset. The syllable structure analysis of the words read, flap, strap, and window are as follow. لاحظوا أول كلمة هذه more examples. The word read, it has one syllable. Read, read. Just listen to yourself. Read. The onset شو كانت؟ الآر. The onset is the beginning sounds of the syllable اللي هي كانت الآر. الرايم اللي هو إيد، هذه إيد within the rhyme. النيكولاس E and coda D. هيك أصلا if someone asks you to transcribe it, you should say like this: read, read. فلاحظوا هذا هو الأنست، هذا هو اللي هو الرايم. الرايم بتكون من نيكولاس and coda. النيكولاس بالعادة هو vowel E، والكودا بالعادة هو consonant D. Flap. Flap has one syllable. We have FL, the onset, rhyme, app, app. Nicholas is the vowel A, and P is the coda. Also the word here window, 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 window. It has two syllables. First syllable was when. لاحظوا وضعها between two brackets to give a description. مش transcription. مش transcription. It gives a description. وصف. هو يصف الآن. When the onset was W, and the N is a rhyme, E. is the nucleus and N is the coda. Second syllable can do. Do. D is a consonant هو الأنصت والأو اللي هي الرايم. Nicholas اللي هي الأو. Is there any coda? طبعا لا. We don't have a coda. So not all word syllables have codas. مثل هذه الكلمة window. So you should put the sounds of these syllables between brackets, and then you will understand if it has a coda or not. So as you can see here, it has no coda. There is no consonant. Again, I'm not asking you to look at the spelling of the word. I'm asking you to listen to the pronunciation of the word. And that's why we use these brackets to put the sounds. To put what? Sounds. لكن مش to put, not to put the spellings, not to put the letters. And there is definitely a difference, and you know this difference between the letters and the sounds. So did you get the idea? I hope so. Let us move. Here we have kind of a notification. The notifications say, if a syllable has the coda, it is called as closed syllable. Okay? إذا كان الكلمة فيها coda, it's called closed syllable. مثل cap, sit, man. Okay, how many syllables does it have? Okay, let us start now. Let us start to put the diagram. So the diagram, these words have one syllable. The diagram looks like this one. So we have onset and we have rhyme. The onset branches into two or one. Actually it branches into one. Okay, so it starts with K and the rhyme goes into two. We have the first one as the rhyme consists of two, the nucleus and the coda. The nucleus is A, okay, and the coda is P. And the same thing happens to sit. It's just like this one. Over it, it's T. Okay, it is T. And also man. You can do man like this way. Here is the nucleus, and here is the coda. So all of these words have a coda, and it's called closed syllable. Closed syllable. However, if a syllable does not have a coda, it's called open syllable. It should be called open syllable. Even how many type of codas we have? We have two type of codas. The first one, if a word, we have two rules for it. If a syllable has the coda, it's called a closed syllable. If it doesn't have a coda, it's called open syllable. Open syllable like this word, he, she, me. الآن خلينا نعمل tree diagram. لاحظوا الtree diagram هذا. First of all, start with onset and then with the rhyme. الonset هنا she أو sh, والrhyme branches only to one. Only to one اللي هو النيكولاس اللي هو الإي. ما في عنا، ما في بهذه الكلمات جميعها ما في شيء اسمه coda. We don't have a coda for these three examples. Okay, so it's called open syllable. What is it called? Open syllable. I hope that you can do she and me as well. It's very simple, right? So here it's called the syllable nod, the onset, the rhyme. Usually rhyme branches into two, nucleus and coda. So do you like mathematics in language? So you just use this three. I just like this way, how to simplify the word syllables. We have also another point right here about liquids and nasals as syllable nuclei. We have talked about this. We said that the English liquids R, L, and nasal MN can be nuclei of syllables under certain condition. This is kind of remember, okay? It's just a reminder for you. So the R can be nucleus as easily as vowel in any position, like the words bird, word, hair, fur. So the first syllable of perceive, surname, and the final syllables of mother, actor, and casual pronunciation all have R as a nucleus. In other words, there is no vowel in the pronunciation of these syllables, even though they have one in the spelling. Also, we have here L, M, and becomes also syllable nuclei when they follow an alveolar consonant in the last syllable of the word. This happens in the relaxed or casual rather than formal articulation of the word. And we have taken bottom, bottle, and bottom. So when one of these sounds is a syllable nucleus, this is shown in a transcription by putting a very short vertical line under the IPA symbol. We will explain this. See, as you can see here in the transcription, you should put this, these actually verticals. It's called verticals under them to say that these are nucleus, a syllable nucleus. So here we have a summary of the elements of a phonological system. The phonological system of a language includes various units plus patterns, which are used to combine the units into larger units. The units of a phonological systems are, first of all, features. We have aspects. This is kind of a summary. I will just read. Features means aspects or characteristics of a speech sounds that arise from the way the sound is articulated or the way it sounds to the ear. Voicing is a feature that varies according to whether or not the vocal cords vibrate during the articulation of a sound. The sound S is voiceless, but the sound is voiced. For example, other features include manner or what sort of gestures or position is used to make a consonant sound stop. Involves blocking the airstream completely for a fraction of a second, as for example P, while a fricative involves creating a narrow opening through which air escapes, as for in F. So there are also suprasegmental features, which are overlaid or syllables or words. On such feature is a stress known outside linguistics as where the accent is a word. Like in potato, potato, the stress falls in the second syllable. When is it tarkiz? Potato, potato, potato. Okay, and also in promise, promise. وين اجى الستريس على بدايتها. إذا احنا تحدثنا عن الفيتشرز, the characteristics of sounds. هذا النظام الصوتي بيمشي بهذه الحالات. أول شيء how to give a description, how to understand the characteristics of each sound. هذا حكينا عنه في بداية الفصل لما شرحنا إنه هذه alveolar, ridge, هذه nasal. Okay. So these are what we call the features. The second اللي هي segments. شو يعني segment? A segment is a speech sound such as M. هذه بنسميها segment. هذا segment. Speech sounds are made by putting several features together. M, for example, is creating by vibrating the vocal cords, voice, closing the mouth and the lips, and lowering the soft palate so that air can escape through the nose. So these three gestures occur spontaneously. Okay, so the result is voice bilabial nasal. Okay, this is what we call segmentation. Thus, segments are units that are built together, put together from features. Features are the building blocks for segments. لاحظتوا إذا بلشنا أول شيء في الفيتشرز، بعدين إجا كبرت عندنا صارت segments. Then we have syllable. A syllable is rhythmic unit of speech. Syllables exist to make the speech airstream easier for the human mind to process. A syllable comprises one or more segments. Segments are the building blocks for syllables. Okay? And finally, after we have syllables together, we have words. Words are made of syllables. لاحظتوا كيف البناء التدريجي في النظام الصوتي؟ Features, segments, features, segments, segments consist of features. بعد segments بيجي عندنا syllables. Syllables consist of segments, and words consist of syllables. The pattern or rule system of phonological system include the phonetics, also known as sequence constraints. These are restrictions on the number and type of segments that can combine to form syllables and words. They vary greatly from one language to another. For example, in English, a word may begin with 3 consonants, but no more than 3. If a word does begin with 3 consonants, the first will always be S. The second must be chosen from among the voices stop P, T, K, and the third from among the liquids L, R, or glides W, Y. Thus, we get words such as squeeze in English, okay? But we can't have words like this one, pestap. We don't have it. So, what I mean by sequence constraints, the English words, if they start with, they can start, for example, with the 3 consonants like C, K, W, but no English word starts with 4 consonants, by the way. This is very interesting. ما في كلمة بالإنجليزية تبلش في 4 حروف ساكنة. Phonological processes, including co-articulation processes, are modifications of the feature structure of a sound that occur for one or of 2 reasons. To make sounds that are near each other more alike, thus make articulation either assimilation, or to make sounds more different from each other. For instance, aspiration makes voiceless stops such as P and K more different from voiced ones such as B, G. And we have talked about the phonological processes when we describe voiced or voiceless. Here we have a kind of exercise. I want you to do it right now, okay? And the same here, you should also to do it right now. Hopefully you have enjoyed our 7th lecture, which was about syllablification of words in English. We have talked about the syllables, part of the syllables, and we had different examples about the parts of syllables, and try to remember the 3 diagrams. Thank you so much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.